Good morning, everybody. We're going to play a rapid game. I'm going to try and play well. I got back over 1500 yesterday anyway. Had a bit of a run in 10-minute rapid. So the Reti opening, this is interesting because this can transpose into a bunch of stuff. Obviously it prevents the immediate e5. Generally what I'll do is I'll go Queen's Knight, and then if we get e4 I can play e5 and we transpose into what I know. But here again we've got, so this is now d4, against which I would normally do that. Now, if I go this, then it's a bit of a black knight's tango, but with white having played knight f3 rather than knight c3, it is actually, that's the preferable version of it. I'm gonna, if I do it and they push, because d5 is the obvious move, but that's what I'm expecting my opponent will know what to do there. I mean, if e6, you see, I can always swing my knight. Let's try it. I know it's kind of ugly, and it blocks in this bishop. It unleashes this bishop, but this bishop could always go onto the long diagonal anyway in fianchetto, so that's always a possibility. Okay, interesting. c3. Now this blocks in the knight. It does kind of reduce the scope of my dark squared bishop. So what are they wanting to do here? d5 is still playable. In fact, I think d5 now is good. Seeing as they've already played c3, I don't think that it would kind of waste the move to push c4. But then this bishop again is kind of finds himself a bit French, doesn't he? It's a bad bishop. Okay, I'm not going to think too hard about that one. I think capturing towards the centre is fine here, and it really does put the question back to my opponent. My opponent is Tigran Jr., rated 1479, from the United States. Happy belated 4th of July, ungrateful colonialists. Okay, so he's developed the queen to d2 to defend the bishop. Alright, now I'm thinking knight f6, even then knight e4. Looks like very reasonable. No argument to develop the queen at this point, I don't think. Let's just carry on. Carry on regardless. I'm trying to channel my inner Danya now. So I was just watching a video with Danya, that's Daniel Naroditsky. I think if you're an intermediate player, like around my level, in my view, the best YouTube chess content, the most useful. Okay, so he's moved his bishop now a second time. Got out of this tension, right? Now, I could put the question to the bishop again and say, what are you going to do? You're going to trade off? In which case, queenie comes out into the board. I'm kind of inclined to do that. What are the options? Like queen e7, bishop d7, castles, maybe. I kind of like this. If he moves the bishop a third time, then that's 1, 2, 3, see? Okay, he's moved the bishop now a third time. Now I do have the option here of the double kick g5, push the bishop back to g3, then even trade off, but that'll probably open up the h-file. I don't see any real call for that. Or this, bishop comes back, I go in and hit the queen. Now the knight is unpinned. Queen will have to move. See, I can't play that move now because I'd hang my own queen, yeah? My main problem right now is what to do with this French-style bishop. Now, I'm not against just leaving the bishop alone and waiting until things dissolve a bit later. I could simply castle. I could play these moves, but go on, let's do it. Let's do it. I think the bishop's going to go here. I'll play knight e4 with tempo again. And now it really feels like we're grabbing some space. Even the move f5 then looks pretty cool. I mean, that is creating quite a wedge on the king side, eh? And this queen does not have... I mean, she's got 5 squares. She has to move, yeah. I'm still not concerned about this. Now, also note that my knight also defends the bishop. So if there's a trade of bishops, I could also recapture with the knight. I'm very tempted to play this move. I'm too tempted, because now it comes with the threat of a pawn fork. Got my coffee on. He might trade off now. There we go. Okay, now I could play this with tempo again. I don't have to recapture immediately. Or does he like take and grab a pawn on his way out? I don't know. Question, big question now. Do we take with the pawn? Do we take with the queen? I think probably queen, actually, rather than knight or pawn. Gets the queen off the mark. Now she can't go then here or here, but she could go there. But at least she's out in the open, you know? Then maybe just bishop there and castles, and then we've got this enormous space advantage. The alternative is pawn takes, and maybe not castling. Maybe just lift the king. See, the problem with the queen here is there's no go down the queen side. Opponent has a problem getting his bishop out as well. If I push and attack the queen, I'm worried about this, and he just gets himself an extra pawn. So a pawn I don't think there's no reason to undevelop the knight, bring the knight backwards. It's in a good place now. It's not about to be trapped immediately. It feels like this is kind of a crux moment. Notice my opponent has still got 14 minutes 22 on his clock, because he's made quick moves. And there's something about this is how we play. Actually, yeah, also the knight's going to be looking at that. So how do I get my queen around? There's no dark squared bishop. Okay, what's the most pressing? If pawn this, there... Okay, I'm going pawn. I'm going pawn because I like the idea of queen b6, looking at b2. Collecting names for a home chess match next week. Now look at all this space I've got, but look, 6 of my pawns are off there, out of the blocks already. Now, the plus side of that is I have a lot of space, which means I should have more scope for my pieces to move, and I'm controlling squares in my opponent's half of the board, right? Also with this knight as well. So white is cramped, which means that white has relatively few choices for where he can put his pieces. One impact of that is that it will then benefit white to make trades, because the fewer pieces there are on the board, relatively it will increase his scope more. Now, do we press the knight? He can't go there, he can't go there, he can't go there. I mean, this is getting really aggro, man, but if the knight moves, do I even have this? Threatening to go in there? If g6, so that, let's say knight back, queen here threatening, he might trade off. Shall we just go full space invader on him? Dim, 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 dim. Then there's this nice kind of e5 break as well, and replaced with our d pawn, meaning that our old c pawn is now the new d pawn. But I mean, look, it also opens up queenie. It's got to be played, hasn't it? Going full space invade on your ass. Damn. I think the queen's come back to defend b2, actually. I think that's the idea there. I'm going proper neep, 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 neep on you. Now, actually, queen g5, and the knight's pinned, unless it goes here, because that queen's undefended there. So that is actually an option. Here, I think we need to think about g3. I might have said g6 earlier on. The queen here, threatening, it's not mate, but threatening doom. Queen here, g3. Queen back here. Now, the question is it better for me for white's pawn to be on g2 or on g3? I don't know. Here it controls these two squares, here it does not. It leaves a hole there, but that is controlled by the bishop. This one is also controlled by the e-pawn. So it is unclear. I could just do this immediately. I don't know about this pawn break now. I mean, white's just horrible here in spatially. If he trades off, I mean, I could even capture towards the center and have a massive pawn center. I think I'm going to play queen g5, and the reason is just to prevent this idea. Right? If that is white's idea, he can't do it because he loses his queen outright. So, like, this knight literally has one square, and it's not a good one. So I'm thinking maybe, do I want a castle? I don't know if I want a castle. I really don't know, because I've got, this is where my pawn mass is. I'm thinking maybe my king wants to come over here on the king side, but I could also just castle on the king side, get my king straight over there. That's two moves in one, and the rook improves, right? You've got to argue that the rook is better on f8 than it is here on h8. So castles, even though it's not really putting the king safe, maybe. Oh man, look at this! Look at this! We really are squeezing the life out. Now, what's changed with this move? Well, he's opened up his bishop for one thing. Bishop might come here. So there is, you know, we should consider the move a6, just to make matters even worse. Now, move queen h4. If it's met with this. Okay, also means now the knight can capture there. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play a6 just to prove a point, really. Okay, it's taken, right. And now I have this option. I can capture here, and I think we do. And then I think we short castle, get the rook on here. And this is not looking good. I've got the option of e5. If takes, knight comes in. E5 slightly improves my bishop, but I think the default now is going to be short castles. And this is just, white is getting throttled. Now, these positions can sometimes blow up in your face, but for that to happen, white would need to get his bits out, and he hasn't got his bits out at all. Like, literally all of his pieces are back on the back rank. He's developed nothing. Ah! Lo and behold, a bishop arrives. Right. Is he thinking of castling? Should I do this now? I reckon. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think if pawn takes, I improve my knight. This pawn is well defended. Castles make sense. He might castle now, for sure. Definitely possible. If I take, he's got c takes, and that kind of improves the queen. I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to castle now instead. Has my position got better from this? Right, is it Harry time? Now, there would be an argument for forcing G2, G3, maybe. Because if there's no avoiding this tension, you see. If I push here, then he pushes G3, right? And he locks up these two files, which would be really good for white. We do not want that. Now I have this option. That is then unavoidable because it's a fork. But what if he just takes with the f-pawn? I can't take here, queen defense. If he brings the knight out, that might be an idea. So what are we thinking? Get the bishop out, maybe think about doubling up the rooks. So suddenly, okay, now this, if that pawn takes, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking it's a case of getting the rooks into the game, or does this knight come in? I mean, it's a long way for the knight to go, but the center is closed. That makes tempo less important. I think we start to improve the knight. Yes. Then maybe that's the idea. H5, H4, then G3. Takey. Notice is my king's going to be relatively open. However, there's nothing staring at my king right now because my opponent's got no material out. So if you want an illustration of the reason for development in the opening phase, this is a good example, right? My opponent is literally controlling two squares on my side of the board with a pawn. That's it. That's all he's got. Oh, and the bishop's looking at these two. Right, it's 4 squares on my side of the board. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah? These are all under my control to some degree. I mean, some of them we are contested. Some of them are no man's land. But I have bits looking at those squares. Huh, curious. And now he's having to think a lot more, see? Made his initial moves quickly. Okay. My initial thought is to get my queen off on the f-file and just plan to invade. If I do that, what's he going to do? Let's say queen f5, because it defends this pawn. Queen f5, or I bring my knight in, or I push Harry. I'm not convinced about this move either. So here, I'm kind of in the way of the bishop. h5 defends this pawn, so it's kind of useful. Knight here. I mean, the queen is not really threatening him. So what's wrong with queen f5? Queen f5. I'm threatening to take. So if he pushes, I'm going to play queen f5. I'm down to 7 minutes. Maybe he just couldn't find a better move to play. And there's nothing really very nice for white. I can't see a problem with Harry coming up the board. We are not in a massive time scramble right now. You know, we don't. I can be patient here and turn the screw if I can find a way to turn the screw. But look, I've got 4 pawns on the D&E files. That's remarkable. So the idea of pawn breaks for white is just going to be met with so many soldiers. So this is the obviously main threat here, and king's force there. Then probably the knight will follow in. This will come though. There, king there, maybe get the queen out of the way, something like that. Push pawn, don't know. Something like that. And there you go. So he's just burned 2 moves. Completely burned 2 moves. Now I'm going to play h5. Now what's he got? I mean, literally that knight can't really make forward progress. It can come here. And where from there? Well, that's no good. What about this? I mean, why? It's a dead horse. Do I want to move my king? I really ought to think about doing something with this bishop. I think probably bishop d7 is as good as anything. It just kind of guards this diagonal to some extent. Not that his bishop can even get there, or there, or there, or there, or there. Look how bad this is. I mean, what an example of lack of space. Space is big, really big. Tigran is in a pickle and no mistake. But the question for me is what to do, right? I can feel this kind of job's done. We can start to wind down and, you know, wait for the hooter to go at the end of the day kind of thing. Mustn't be doing that. One great tip that I pick up from watching Naroditsky's videos is that even when he has a winning position, he says we must be accurate. So I ought to be thinking very seriously now about going in for the kill, which is not really one of my strengths. And in fact, I am now ahead on the clock. My opponent has had to think for so long. Those last 2 rook moves, by the way, he spent 1 minute 46 seconds on. Sorry, 2 minutes 46 seconds to make these 2 moves. So he's just desperately trying to think of something to do. How can he improve his situation? I think one thing would be to counterattack down here. I have this kind of massive blockade in the centre. Maybe there's an argument to say go queenside. Ooh, okay. Right, I have spare pawnage here. Now, I need to think about this because if the pawn should take, that comes with the discovery on my queen. Now I can't recapture here. So take then maybe. He can't take with a piece because he just loses a piece. So it's not going to be da. Right? If I take with my spare e-pawn, one of my e-pawns, because I have several, right? Is he going to take with the pawn? Do I just do this? The threat of that. This or takes queen here. That's a fork, that's check, and I hit this pawn. Right? If he takes with the piece is lost. Because I control that square with another pawn. Moving the king over, moving a rook over makes sense. I mean, out of his options, I'm not sure breaking open. Oh, if this he's got king f7. Then I have this though. And also this unleashes my... This has got to be... I think that's a real cock-up to break in front of his king. Yeah, my king's naked, but it doesn't matter because you've got no bits anywhere. I mean, literally, my king could just run around Starkers in the garden. It doesn't matter. and you're in a world of pain now. You go here, I'm coming here, controlling that, forcing the king back onto the g file. Well, he can't go there, right? Forcing the king back onto g2 or... Okay. Oh, man. Now, part of me thinking about this comes on the slow side, right? Now, taking here. Actually, queen here, and I'm simply attacking the bishop. So that's got to be a strong candidate. I'm attacking the bishop. The bishop can't go there, or there, or there, or there. Right? I come here and attack the bishop. Either he's going to move the queen over, or he moves the bishop back, which would be a bad idea because it then blocks there's nothing defending the rook, right? And then if he takes here, for example, oops, he dies. So here, I think the queen's going to come across, yes? Then maybe I can simply take it a pawn. I'm not sure about that. I like this idea as well, knight coming in. I like actually this idea of hitting Mr. Rook. Oh, but we have an immediate issue. Yes, of course, Rook G1 pins the queen and king. We do not like that, do we, precious? So this gets out of it. I mean, he can throw in a check, and I just do that. So I think let's throw this in now. So we've won ourselves a pawn. Well, we haven't really won it, have we? It was served up on a plate. Okay, he's done this. I'm thinking king here. And the reason is because opponent has a light squared bishop. Having said that, he hasn't really got much of a light squared bishop, has he? So maybe even this idea. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. This move is possible. The bishop's now hanging. Also, I have two attackers now on this pawn as well. And it's not looking healthy for Tigran. Tigran is... I don't know, I'm thinking it's like a Near Eastern name. Oh, hello. Okay, explain how that doesn't hang your bishop, because I'm confused. And threatens this with check. Yeah, okay, it's the discovery on my queen. I'm not going to... Oh, if I take the bishop, you can't come in there. If I take the bishop, you can't do that. I don't get it. He hasn't got a good check. I have a check. Next. If I check, he has to block with a rook. I can then hit the rook a couple of ways. I'm going to have to think of some claustrophobic horror movie theme for the thumbnail for this one. It's too late to ask you to make suggestions because I'll have already made the thumbnail by the time you see the thing. These are the problems I have to live with. Well, +4 materials. He really has completely dicked himself in the nose, hasn't he? It's practically resignable, although it is quite a sharp position. But now, look, remember, this bloody bishop has been sat there holding its whatever for the entire game, but now could come in and just go, ta-da! It's what bishops do a lot of the time. They just sit there twiddling their thumbs. Okay. I have a checkity-doo-dah. This is if I lose concentration, that's mate, okay? That doesn't work. That falls to this. So what am I thinking? This. I think we take the pawn anyway, and he has to block with queen or rook. There's nothing else to be done. I can play this. Okay, so he blocks with the rook. Takes, rook blocks, nothing's gained. But it's just worth thinking about. This is a thought, actually. There's a bloody thought. Now, notice the rook is pinned, right? So, hang on, rook g8. Can't take there because queen. Has to evacuate the g-file. Can't go there because queen. Can't go there. Go there or anything else. I'm +5 materials. Rook g8, isn't it? Queen takes rook, knight takes queen. This rook can't do anything because it's pinned. Surely temple. And you know something I'm really proud about? I've got 3 minutes 19 left on the clock. That's about where it should be, you know? Oh. But here, the rook can't do anything because it's pinned. I'm now threatening to take the rook with checkmate. No! Blah! Bloody hell. Bloody hell. We talk about, oh, Jesus wept. Talk about coming off the gas. Blunder, mate in 1. 1450 for him, 1550 for me. King h8. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. See, I need to sharpen my teeth, man. I'm telling you. The rook's pinned, doesn't matter. Still supporting you. Fucking hell. King h8 and I'm just winning. Even though I've just lost the knight. What's he got? Got knight g3 is best for him. We come in. Attack the pinned rook. Nothing for it, he's dead. Right? It's saying rook g1, we probably take. He takes. I don't know. Then attack and double up. Ay, ay, ay. Right. Back to school for me. I was all over that creep like a rash. I mean, having said that, you know, it was pretty close for a lot of the game. And then here, this was a complete thunder blunder, right? Losing the bishop. And I just completely lost my thing. Lost it completely. Tigran held his nerve and just waited for me to go soft, which I duly did. But it's a good lesson, isn't it? Embarrassing, but instructive. Well, there's no need to analyse any of that, is there? But there we go. What a howler. What a howler. Hey, hey, hey. And yeah, sorry, everyone's going to have to wipe their screens at home because it's going to be covered in sugar frosted whatever you eat for breakfast. But I'm going off for a load of crispy beef fat very soon and to sit and lick my wounds. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.